Hey everybody, just a brief intro here. It's Sunday and Lucy really needed to take some time off from all this coronavirus stuff. So I'm playing some internet poker today, which I usually do on Sundays, and actually finishing up our newsletter, which will be going out probably today when you see this video on Monday. So much stuff going on with this corona stuff. It's just looking worse and worse. Like crazy bad. So I actually recorded this video in Mexico City a few days ago, and we just didn't have time to put it live because it was too much stuff to talk about with Corona. So I'm going to put it out right now. It talks about some major changes that I'm doing, and also how you can change as well if you want. And a lot of people, I think, whether they like it or not, their lives are going to change dramatically. It's looking like that right now. So probably a good video. So a little bit more on the kind of personal side, rather than just covering what's going on with coronavirus and all the craziness that's going on around it. But if you want to get an update on all that stuff, sign up to our newsletter, dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. It'll be out on Monday probably. And this is getting really insane. So hopefully this video gives you a little bit perspective and hope on how, even if your life does end up changing quite dramatically here, that it can be a good thing. But obviously it's going to be very interesting. So I hope everyone stays well out there, and Lucy does too. And Lucy says,
yeah, I hope everyone's okay. I saw there's some dogs dying in China that have been abandoned. I just hope everyone's okay, and please have a taco for me wherever you are.
hey Lucy, what do you think about living your passion?
What do you think I'm doing? I go for fun walks with you every day, where you teach people how to make more tacos. I meditate. I play. Go for little runs. And then I get a lot of tacos, and I give a lot of kisses. What else is there to it?
So I thought we'd take a little break from the coronavirus today. I think everyone needs a little break from the coronavirus. And talk about living your passion. And also talk about how I've made a lot of changes to do that. And a number of other things, like major changes. I'll give you a hint. I'm not going to be doing Anarchast anymore, but I'm going to tell you who is. And it's going to be awesome. It's not Lucy. And even Anarchapulco, I will give you all the details. It's still to be decided exactly, but I'll essentially be handing it over to the voluntarist community, some of the top people in that community, to basically run it, so I don't have to. I'll get into that a bit more later too. But first, I thought I'd talk about living your passion, because that's something I've said so many times, especially on my Anarchast channel. And then recently I realized I wasn't actually living my passion. It's pretty funny, people giving advice. And then they kind of figured out they're not doing what they're saying other people should do. And I knew it was kind of coming. I was kind of reaching this breaking point. I had actually started the Dollar Vigilante in 2010. And it really got started, thinking about it, in 2009. So I've been doing that for over 10 years now. And actually, I don't mind doing it. I actually still enjoy doing that. And I really enjoy doing these walk and talk videos. This is actually kind of like a passion. But I don't enjoy doing interviews. I don't enjoy getting interviewed. I don't enjoy speaking at conferences. And I was doing all those things, but there was reasons for it. So to give you a bit of the background, when we first started the Dollar Vigilante, everyone thought I was crazy. So there's something for all you entrepreneurs out there. So when everyone thinks you're crazy, it's usually a pretty good idea. Dollar Vigilante's gone on to be pretty much one of the top financial newsletters in the world, a major business with, I don't even know how many people actually working with or for the company. It's well over 10, maybe more than 20. See, I don't really keep track. I don't really run it anymore, which is great. And that's also part of what I'm talking about here, about living your passion. I don't enjoy running companies at all. Even going all the way back to when I started the first financial website in Canada called stockhouse.com, and we went worldwide. We were in Hong Kong, Singapore, the UK, the US, and a number of others, Japan. And after the tech bubble burst, I could have just stayed there and kept running it for like decades. It's still running, still the top financial website in Canada. But that's not my passion. Sitting in some office, looking at balance sheets, trying to figure out how to make an extra 10% on something, or how to talk down some suppliers. That's not what I do, or that's not what I enjoy doing. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. So even with that, as soon as it looked like it had to really downsize and it needed someone to really just kind of like coddle it for a while until it could make more money and maybe even get a bit more investment, I pretty much immediately sold it. And a lot of people were shocked. Actually, this is sort of a reoccurring thing in my life. When I worked at a bank, I worked my way up when I was 21 from working in the mailroom to being a bank teller to giving investment advice and doing loans. And on the day that they offered me the bank manager position, which I would have been the youngest bank manager at that bank it's a 300-year-old bank in Canada called CIBC. As soon as they offered me the job, I quit. And everyone was in shock. They're like, you could have had a job for life at the bank. And I just looked at them like, I don't want a job for life at the bank. What are you talking about? So almost everything I've done, I've kind of ended up quitting, even though most people thought I was crazy. Certainly, I didn't really talk to my parents too much back then. I sort of lived a very independent life. But I know everyone at the bank thought I was insane. They're like, you'll get free medical and free dental. And I'm like, I don't care. And you'll have a job for life. And then in 30 years, you'll get a pension. And I'm like, well, no, I won't, because this whole system will go down well before that. But even if I did, I'm not working 30 years just to get a few $1,000s a month in like when I'm 60. That sounds horrible. So I quit that, and then I started the internet company, which went from zero, running out of my house, to worth $240 million. And then as soon as I could see that it wasn't just this entrepreneurial enterprise anymore, and it was like had to be run like a real business, I immediately sold it. And again, people were shocked. They were like, you built this into one of the biggest internet companies in Canada, and you're like famous in Canada, everyone knows who you are, and you're just gonna sell it and walk away? And I was like, yeah. I don't want to sit there in that office and lay off employees and blah. So then I got into doing the Dollar Vigilante. And the main reason was I had been actually investing and speculating since the 90s. And after everything I'd been through, and then after 2008 and predicting 2008, along with my partner Ed Bugos, we were both like, this is gonna happen any day now, and it did. And it was right around then I went, you know, I think I understand the financial markets and the economics of things and investing more than like 99.99999% of people in the world. And Ed understands way more than me, and he wanted to be my partner. So I was like, We should really start up a financial newsletter and teach people how the system works and how to take advantage of it and make a lot of money, which is what we've gone on to do. And even Ed, when I first started, I said, okay, so we're going to say we're an anarcho-capitalist financial newsletter, and we'll say we're basically Austrian economics people. And he thought I was crazy. He's like, you can't say we're anarchists. I was like, why? He's like, a lot of people think that's crazy. That's a crazy word. That's dangerous. And I was like, well, let's change that. So we did. And that's been going very well, as you've probably been following here. It's making tons and tons of money. It's very often, especially at our own conference, that a lot of people come up and say, I changed their lives. I made them a fortune. There's a number of people who bought a large amount of Bitcoin at $3 when I said to buy it in 2011. I didn't. I'm not that smart, but they did. So there's a lot of people who've made tens or hundreds of millions of dollars from our information, which is awesome. I totally love it. That's great. Oh, by the way, I'm right downtown in Mexico City. Normally where I am is just north of here, kind of like a suburb. But we had to come down here today, so I thought I'd do a video here with Lucy. That's my girl. Oh, what's going on? Oh, there we go. That's my girl. Sort of an interesting park here. So when I first started the Dollar Vigilante, I had no idea where it would go. Of course, cryptocurrencies didn't even exist in 2000. Well, they did, but I didn't even know about them in 2010. Kind of looking back, the day that Bitcoin was launched is right around the time I had the idea to start the Dollar Vigilante. So how's that for, oh, it's beautiful over here. How's that for interesting timing? But I obviously had no idea that where we'd be today, where we're on the forefront of a revolution in money and banking, and we've been one of the leaders of it. So that's been pretty cool. And now we're helping people get through this crisis, which has just begun, which was the whole intention of it. So that's great. We'll see what happens after everything collapses, after the dollar collapses. Who knows? Maybe I'll want to do something different. But I did say I wanted to, because the opportunities after this crisis, if you can get through with capital, are going to be ridiculous. You'll be able to buy up almost anything for pennies on the dollar if you've got any money, which would mean Bitcoin or Monero or precious metals, because fiat will be worthless. So I might continue with that. I do enjoy that kind of stuff. Oh, upside down. Where's Lucy? I'm screwing up with my camera today. There she is. I do enjoy going for walks with Lucy. So anyway, the point being that who knows, maybe in a year or two I'll stop the Dollar Vigilante as well if I'm not passionate about it anymore. But I am pretty passionate about it, and I do, like I said, I found a way to do it that I can enjoy, and that is going for a walk with Lucy every day. This is like enjoyable for me. And that's what work really should be when you're living your passion, right? And when I was doing tons and tons of interviews and traveling and speaking at conferences, I wasn't happy. You know, truthfully, back in the old days, I didn't mind it as much. I was younger, so it was easier. I did, especially before, really love to travel. So it was a cool way to travel the world and basically get paid for it. Not that the conferences would usually pay me, but the benefits of speaking at those conferences would usually get us enough new subscribers and stuff like that that it would pay for itself. And completely honestly, I always try to be as honest as possible, especially 5-10 years ago. You know, a big part of it was I'd be kind of like the celebrity at this conference, which is kind of just weird to me, but it was kind of interesting. But the best part was there'd always be some pretty hot women at the conference, and they kind of thought of me as like, I don't know, who's famous and good looking, Brad Pitt or something. And so I did enjoy that, like years and years ago. It just, I'd go there, I'd speak, and then all these hot women would want to have sex with me. So you guys out there, I think you could totally understand where I got into that for a while. But I've changed a lot, and I actually got remarried to my wife about a year ago. Oh, a year and a half ago, I think now. And that was like a serious one. The first one was, it's a long story, but I had just adopted my daughter and she had a son, and we were boyfriend, girlfriend, they were living with us. And I could totally tell that the kids didn't feel comfortable wondering if I was gonna stick around or not. So I actually married my wife for the kids, just to make them feel better. But I didn't consider it like a normal marriage. Back in those days, I was just partying all the time, going to strip clubs all the time, come up at 6 in the morning, lipstick all over my face. And even after I was married, I would do that. And it was kind of understood that's what I did. And it was kind of like this understanding between us that that's the person I am, or was right now, was back then. And she understood that, so that was fine. But over time, we began to have problems, and then it became kind of clear that I had to either separate or divorce from her, or make it work. And I understood in order to make it work, I had to make a ton of changes. And that's been a big part of all the changes I've been going through over the last about 4 years now, which have been amazing, by the way. I had no idea the benefits of making those changes. I thought my life would be horrible if I made all these changes. It's actually like way better. So that was kind of like why I used to like doing some of that dollar vigilante stuff, interviews and all that. But now I don't want any of that stuff. And then on top of that, there's Anarchast. I started Anarchast in 2011. There was hardly any content about anarchy on the internet. There was a few people. There was Stefan Molyneux, who's not even a voluntarist anymore. But he was really good until he got cancer, and then he got scared, and then he said he started talking to some like Bilderberg and CFR committees about them helping him out, and now all of a sudden he's like a Trump supporter. So whatever happened to him, he's gone. Other people were people like Larkin Rose, who's great. I think Adam Kokesh was around back then. Yeah, he was. He's kind of, I'm not going to say too much about him. Man, I got lost. How did I get down here? Oh, I see. And Jeffrey Tucker was around, and he was great, writing a lot of his books about anarcho-capitalism. And of course there was others. There was Doug Casey, of course. He'd been doing it for decades, but not with a prime focus to talk about anarchy, but it always was a subtext in what he was talking about. And of course there's other people like Walter Block, great scholar, but he wasn't really on the internet. And so what I'm talking about here is there wasn't really much of a presence for anarchy on the internet. And there was a few others, but a lot of them have kind of gone away over time. But that was it in 2011. So I was like, man, people need to understand free markets. It is the key to fixing this world. And hardly anyone knows about it, and hardly anyone even talks about it. And if some people talk about it, they talk about it like it's crazy or it's dangerous. And I was like, I'm going to change that. And so I started up Anarchast, and I had never done any videos, I don't think, on YouTube before that. Not even for Dollar Vigilante. And I remember my very first episode, it was so hard to do. I was just not comfortable on camera. As you can see, 9 years later, I'm quite a bit more comfortable. But that's just practice. But I still don't like sitting there in front of a camera and interviewing people and all that, but I had to do it because no one was getting any exposure for what was at the time dozens, which turned into hundreds, and then now thousands and tens of thousands, and maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of amazing voluntarists now. So no one was giving them a platform to be discovered. So I decided I would do it. And if you look back at Anarchast episode 1, maybe I could throw in a clip of it. I actually have a hard time watching it. It's so embarrassing because I was so bad. I drank like 2 glasses of wine before I did it to try to relax, and I still look like the most uptight person ever in the first few episodes. I'm really glad to have you on the show because I know we're friends in the other life outside of this podcast, and I know you're a real anarchist, so I tried to have a real anarchist on the show. So I decided I just had to do it. Like, no one else was doing it, and it was too important. We had to do it. And I ended up doing over 500 episodes, probably an average watch time of nearly an hour on all of them. So 500 hours of interviewing people on Anarchast. And I could go through the lists. I don't have it in front of me. So many amazing people. Lou Rockwell, Doug Casey, Walter Block, Jeffrey Tucker, Larkin Rose, Mark Passio. Like, I could literally go on for hundreds and hundreds of them. But it occurred to me after this year's Anarchapulco, I was like, I need to make some changes. I'm not doing the things I love. And like I said, this is what I've been talking about. Do what your passion is. And I did those things for a reason, especially Anarchast, because I thought it was just so important and no one else was doing it. So I did it. But it wasn't my passion. And really, when you look back at it, Anarchast started in 2011. There's hardly anything on the internet about anarchy, and now look at it. There's so much great content, so many great people, so many great shows. So I don't really need to do it anymore. But that said, I think the Anarchast format's still really important. So what I decided to do was to try to pick someone who I thought would be the best person to be the new host of Anarchast. And no, it's not Lucy. And it was a tough decision. I'm not going to tell you all the people I considered. They don't even know I considered them because I didn't even talk to them. But there was a lot of people that I thought could do an amazing job. But I finally decided on Patrick Smith. And if you don't know him, he actually already has a show called Disenthrall. And he's really good. And in talking to him, and this is when I knew this was going to work, I was telling him why I don't want to do it anymore. And he said, well, you know, my passion, the thing I love most is interviewing people. And I was like, oh, then you should do it because that's your passion. I don't like it. I gotta like ruin my whole day waiting around to do this interview. They're usually late, there's some technical difficulty. And then I gotta sit there for an hour. And most of the stuff they're saying is really interesting. It's nothing against them. But I just gotta sit there, get through the interview. Like, it's not something I love at all. But I did it because I thought it was important. So, on that note, Patrick Smith is going to be relaunching an Anarchast coming up Friday, which I think will be tomorrow by the time you see this. Man, where the heck am I? I got totally lost. He's actually going to do it. He's full of ideas. He's like so excited to do it. He said this is like I forget the word he told me. It's like almost like a gift from God to be given Anarchast. I think he's definitely overestimating it, but like he's that excited about it, and all his plans, I don't know where I am, are really cool. He's going to have live stream with live chat, and he's really a great speaker and interviewer. He knows his stuff. He's like, when it comes to anarcho-capitalism, voluntarism, he probably knows a lot of stuff more than I do. He's a great speaker on it. He's very eloquent. He's very charming, charismatic. And he's just like so pumped to do this. Man, I ended up somehow on the street. I wanted to walk through the park. I don't know how I got here. This is a lot less relaxing. I bet I gotta go. I don't know. I don't know where I gotta go. Oh, Chinese people. Don't want to get the corona. Man, I don't know where I am. Oh, I started over there. Oh, I gotta go up. Maybe I can go down here. So anyway, Friday at 6 or 6:30 p.m. Central Time this week, so tomorrow, definitely try to log in. I'd love to see a big audience for his first one. And it's on the Anarchast channel. I think it's just youtube.com/user/Anarchast or the Anarchast. I'll put the link down below. Make sure you go over there right now and just subscribe and hit the bell icon. There's gonna be a ton of great content. And I'm so glad I don't have to do it. And his first guest, see if we can get through without Lucy getting hit by cars here. Where's Lucy? Lucy. Watch out, Lucy. Oh, there's a bus coming. Lucy, man. All right. I want to do this nice tranquil walk in the park, and now I'm walking down the highway in Mexico City. Anyways, first guest is going to be Larkin Rose. So how's that for a first guest? If you don't know Larkin Rose, I've been talking about him quite a bit on this channel. Amazing guy. So definitely check that out. So starting tomorrow, I am done with Anarchast. But I'll still be telling people about it because I'll actually be sending him a lot of people to interview because I know so many people that he doesn't. But I don't actually have to do it. This is awesome. So that's one step of me starting to rearrange my life to do things that I love. Lucy, Ben. Lucy's on the street. Don't really want to be walking down the street here, Lucy. So, then comes Anarchapulco. And I'm not going to tell you everything I'm doing yet because I still haven't organized it all. Man, I totally screwed this up. Basically just walking down the highway now. And Lucy's on the road. Lucy, Ben, Lucy. There's buses flying by. Oh, man. See if we can survive this. So with Anarchapulco, I haven't announced yet, but basically, the very basics of it is, I'll basically be handing it over to a number of the top people in the anarcho-capitalist, anarchist, voluntarist community for them to run. And I'll have almost no involvement with it. Man, I'm like totally like on the highway here. I don't know how I went from a park to on the highway. Hopefully up here we can get back to something that looks more like a park. So with Anarchapulco, there's gonna be a ton of changes. All for the better, in my opinion. Everyone I've have in mind, I've been talking to, they're amazing. But I'll tell you about that in a future video, once it's all been decided. Because I started Anarchapulco, this event, because the freedom movement, the voluntarist anarchist freedom movement, Lucy, Ben. Lucy. My camera went all upside down there. All right, needed a event of its own. But man, talk about a horror show to try to run. So it's gotten to the point now, it started in 2014. So next year will be its 7th year if we do it, and I think we will, but I won't. And it kind of has a life of its own now. It's a large event. Thousands of anarchists from across the world come every year. And I just don't want to run it anymore. So that's another example of something that could be a pretty big business. Man, these buses are flying around the corner. I'm trying to keep an eye on Lucy here. Hopefully we're back at the park here soon. I think we are. So that's another example of, it's a fairly big business. It can make quite a bit of money. It hasn't, but it could. It's a large event with thousands of people every year. And I'm basically just giving it away. Okay. All right. Well, we're not quite in the park. Where's Lucy? Lucy? Lucy, Ben? Okay, well, at least we're off the major highway now. Lucy, Ben. Okay, I can actually see the park now. I don't know how we got out of it, or where we are exactly. Lucy, Ben. That's my girl. So yeah, so the point of this all is that I've been talking about living your passion. And if you're doing something that it's not your passion, to stop doing it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So Anarchast will now be run by Patrick Smith. I'll have nothing to do with it. It should still go on to do some great things. In fact, I think he's such a better host than me that it might do way better without me. And Anarchapulco, with the people I have in mind, and they're all super gung-ho. They're like, I've got a million ideas. They might be able to run it way better than I ever did. And so both those things will continue on kind of I guess you could say a legacy. I don't like using that word because I don't care. A lot of people are really like, I need my legacy. It's important about my legacy. I don't really care, but you could say that that's what it'll be for me from now on. And it could go on to do some great things, which is what I always wanted. And I don't have to do anything. Perfect. All I got to do now is go for walks with Lucy. See if I can get this working properly. I keep going upside down. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I know what I got to do. Oh, no. Oh, I got to go like this. I don't know how I forgot after all this time. There we go. Yeah, just go for walks with Lucy. And comment and analyze what's going on in the financial and political world, which I'm pretty good at. And I can do it all from anywhere in the world. That's a whole other story that I talk about a lot. I've been talking about that for 10 years. Try to arrange your life in a way that it's not geographic dependent. So I could be in Thailand right now. I could still be doing my work, still go for walks with Lucy. And yeah, so I think I'll leave it there. I just wanted to talk about passion today and about how I wasn't doing what I said people should do, but now I am a lot more, and I feel amazing actually. It feels so good. That and getting off social media Like I went from my life went from being like, I don't know where I am. My life went from being like 18 hours a day of work, stuff I didn't even enjoy, doing all kinds of stuff like interviews, which I didn't enjoy doing, going to conferences, which I don't enjoy, speaking, which I don't enjoy, to picking the things that I do enjoy and finding other people to either hand it over to or delegate the rest, which I have at the Dollar Vigilante. I've said a few times now, we've got a guy running it now that I don't have to watch everything anymore. He pays everyone, he watches the accounting, he's watching the marketing stuff, how that's going, what we should tweak, what we should change, who we should hire. That's all stuff I used to do. And I don't have to do it anymore, and he's doing a great job. So for anyone out there who's been like listening to me say, do your passion, and it felt like, oh, I don't know how or whatever. Well, I've just gone ahead and done it myself, and it feels amazing. Like I said, being off social media, oh my God, that's another few hours a day of frustration, irritation that I just don't have anymore. So I've just totally, I feel like a totally different person, totally different life right now. And it's way better. So, you know, there was, I guess, a little bit of fear involved. Not much, but a little bit in that, oh, what if I give this up or give that up? What if they ruin it? Well, if they ruin it, they ruin it. But I don't think so, because I think I've got some amazing people ready to take over those things. And if they do ruin it, they ruin it. That's, you know, what can I do? They probably can't run it much worse than me, really. Especially at Anarchapulco. I just, no desire to run an event. But you know, take chances too, right? So I didn't know how any of this would work out. A lot of people, you even have people tell me that if I go off social media, I'm going to become like, I won't know what's going on in the world. It's like, first of all, it's all lies what everyone says is going on in the world anyway. But I'm just as in tune with what's going on as ever, and I don't watch TV. I don't really look at anything on social media. What I do is I watch a few video channels, you know, things like We Are Change and a number of others. Some crypto type stuff. I watch, I read quite a bit. Articles on whatever's going on, but from good sources. And yeah, I feel like so much freer. And that's a lot of what I've been talking about here on Anarchast, is becoming freer. And by doing all that stuff, I feel so much freer. And I think it also opens up a door. In life, when you close some door, it usually opens another one. So I don't know what the other one might be. Hopefully it's not going to be too much work. Hopefully it'll be something though that I'm totally passionate about. But that's usually the case. Once you close one door, another opens. But right now, I'm totally fine if no other doors open. I'm totally just want to keep doing this for a while. This is so nice. Just walk around with Lucy. Yeah, that's my Lucy. What do you think, Lucy? Yeah, the last few weeks we went for a lot more walks. You made a lot more money because you're concentrating on money again. And that means a lot more tacos. And we keep going on nice little trips. Yeah, this sounds great. I would say just keep it up. And for anyone else out there, just remember, you know, all you got to do is make sure you got enough tacos and give lots of kisses.
You've seen the Dollar Vigilante on mainstream media trolling the fake news, and seen Jeff Berwick travel inside places like Venezuela and Cuba to expose the truth about what's happening in those socialist paradises. To get even more, make sure to subscribe to the Dollar Vigilante newsletter to receive 2 full 30-plus page issues from the Dollar Vigilante each month, plus market alerts on precious metals, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and gold mining stocks by going to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. Click on the link in the notes below or go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe to find out more.